What is your normal day-to-day work?
Yeah, well, I'm an agent, a booking agent for bands, working at Coda, a UK-based company, and it's quite a varied job because I work with roughly 20 acts, so it's about making sure you're dealing with promoters on inquiries for shows, to speaking to managers and labels on strategies and campaigns for your acts, to putting schedules together and pitches for festivals, to looking at costings on tours that you've booked around a record, to checking marketing plans for shows that have done. I think you have to be very good at multitasking in this role, so every day can be different. And you speak to promoters and managers worldwide, so it's a 24-hour job.
But has your work changed throughout the years?
Yeah, I mean, I've been an agent for 14 years now, and I think it's the pace of the industry has changed. I think 14 years ago you could take your time with an act you would discover to sign. You would go to a few shows, they might have a label on board, but it was too early. And I feel like you could make your decisions a bit slower, whereas nowadays it's very fast-paced. You'll have a track on Hype Machine that's number one, and there'll be 20 agents pitching for it. So I think there are more agents than there've ever been, and you have to make quicker decisions on acts that hopefully, in my eyes, judging if they have a long-term career. So I do think technology has a big part to play in changes. Album sales have gone down, streaming's gone up, bands, depending on income from the live side, but us not getting tour support from labels, has become very different. So I think we put more pressure on promoters, on bigger fees for newer bands. So it's about developing deals with promoters and hopefully giving loyalty to promoters so they take risks earlier on. Lots of changes.
Yeah. Is it harder now for you?
I think it's hard for everyone in that it's a high stress 24-hour job, and I think the bigger that your bands get, the different pressure you have in delivering, where they have higher expectations on fees and slots that they play at festivals. So I think that changes, but for a young agent, it's the stress of having a new band that people haven't heard of and getting a good team on board and getting the right opportunities. So I wouldn't say the stress has gotten bigger or it's changed. I think at every level there's your own bit of stress to deal with.
And how hard is it nowadays for bands and even for you in the music industry? But let's focus on bands to make a living.
I think it's always been tough. I think when I pitch for an act, I do say this has to be everything that you've wanted to do. You have to have passion and belief and patience, because, you know, as an act that's starting out, getting £100 a show, they'll be in a van, they'll be sleeping on friends' floors. But I think as an act, if you have ultimate belief that you're going to do it, you almost have to pay your dues to get to a stage where you make money. I think it's really tough for bands. I couldn't do it myself. I decided to be an agent instead of a singer, so that I could support them better, but I don't think it's a job for anyone.
What is a turning point for bands? When are they able to make a living?
It depends on the act. You know, say you have a pop act or a solo artist, so it's just one person and the record does really well, they're going to make more money than if you have a 5-piece act that is sharing everything equally, so it's between 5 people. You know, it depends on the production of a show. You could have, you know, probably Ed Sheeran goes out with him and his guitar and he's got all the lights, or if you want to have a big production on your show, that's going to cost you a lot more money. So it, you know, maybe acts think through more the setup they're going to do and the costs it's going to take. The costs have gone up a lot, petrol, trucking, salaries, and unfortunately early on the fees haven't gone up as quick as all the costs have. So I haven't figured out when that day is that they make money.
And Is it harder for bands now to have a long career?
No, I don't think so. I think with the acts that I work with, from Amy McDonald to First Aid Kit to Churches, Gaultier, who I worked with for 8 years before the big hit of that single. I think it's important to just make sure as an act that you have a team around you that put a long-term strategy together. So no, I don't actually. I mean, you know, certain pop acts, certain genres, it's a lot more fast-paced. I think kids, with technology, with social media, with the digital age, they have much shorter attention spans, and they're not buying into albums and falling in love with album sleeves and the story. They just want the single and now. So in that sense, in that area, it's tough. But again, pick a good team that want to give you a long-term strategy.
What are you most proud of? That you've achieved with a band that you manage?
Well, I was gonna I'm most proud that I've been able to be myself throughout this career, and I haven't had to change, and that I've always put my family first. That I've had a kid and I can still be an agent. That's a very proud moment. But probably, you know, Foals closing Reading Festival. I think there's no moment like that. But equally, the first Brixton show for an act. You know, I'm proud of working with acts from, you know, I saw First Aid Kit at Eurosonic and said in 5 years' time we'll do Royal Albert Hall. And we did it almost 5 years later. So just lots of moments make me proud.
What do you think your job will be in 5 or 10 years? Will it change a lot?
I will not be an agent. No, I'm joking. I would like to be mentoring more. So I think just focus on my roster and building. But I'm not sure. Everything is changing, is so fast paced. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with streaming in the future, and the finances, and how acts and managers can take bigger opportunity and get the money from that I think they're owed, rather than the labels. I'd be interested to see how labels continue to react and deal with the streaming industry and album sales being down.
What should be done then?
I don't know.
What should be done? Because you said, well, the streaming, that acts should get bigger.
They should get more of the income from streaming, without a doubt. I think a lot of acts are actually turning away from major label deals and trying to do things themselves, are going with companies like Cobalt on album deals, where they see more of a revenue and income from everything. They might not get the £500,000 check that perhaps a major can give them, but they have more ownership. I think that's happening a lot more. The good thing about technology is bands there aren't so many gatekeepers, so they can get their audience. It doesn't take radio, it doesn't take someone else. It's a one-on-one relationship, and I think that's an incredibly powerful time for artists if they use it right as well.
So get more revenue is definitely the most important thing.
Bands need to make a living.
Last question. You mentioned First Aid Kit singing over here at the Eurosonic Noorderslag.
Yes.
How important is a festival like Eurosonic Noorderslag?
For me, I think for the right time with an act, it's really important. I had Idols playing last night. They are self-releasing. Punk rock band, album out in March. The venue was packed, and I'm probably going to get 7 to 10 festival offers off the back of that. I think it's a good time of year because everybody's had a break at Christmas, so people are excited about discovering new acts. And I think for the industry, it's all the key players and the young players in one place, again, having had a break and enthusiastic, and chatting about the final slots and festivals and strategies. So I think this is a really key event.